So you have been hired by the client to develop a elaborate Star Wars theme for the wedding. You got your Chewbacca's, you got your Darth Vader's, Luke and Leia over there. All of this work to make the wedding be in a galaxy far, far away. The client comes back and says, "That's great, okay, but we're going to set our phasers to stun, and we want this to be a Star Trek wedding instead." Are you, as the wedding professional, allowed to charge for revising, making the revision from Star Wars to Star Trek? Find out in today's video. Hey out there, my name is Rob. I am a wedding industry lawyer. And in today's video, we're talking about whether or not you as a wedding professional can charge the client for revisions to the design or to the theme of the wedding. Now, before we get into it, let me just say this. I host a show or a room. I don't even know what we're calling it on Clubhouse, but I have a weekly room on Clubhouse called Wedding Industry Law Hour, where I answer questions that you have. It's a great time. We have a lot of great conversations, and a lot of the content on these videos actually start on Clubhouse. So if you're interested, check us out. I am at Wedding Lawyer on Clubhouse, so follow me there. Be sure to join the room, join the conversation. Like I said, a lot of great topics are addressed. A lot of great conversations are had. So be sure to check us out on Clubhouse. Okay, now on to the content of today's video. So you are a planner, coordinator, wedding designer. Maybe you do stationery, maybe you do invitations, okay? You do something in the wedding industry that requires a lot of creativity, a lot of effort, a lot of your experience and know-how goes into it in those initial steps once you have talked to the client. Is it a rustic barn wedding? Is it a futuristic Jetsons wedding? Is it Star Wars? Is it Star Trek? Okay. Now, we would call that a theme, okay? We would call that a design, all right? So substantial work goes into that, all right? And typically the client pays you to do that one time, okay? That's typically the default concept. But where the rubber meets the road is the client might not know that. The client might say, well, what's good for Star Wars is good for Star Trek. Not the case, okay? Not the case. So, are you allowed to charge the client for essentially having to redo a bunch of work? Okay. The answer is going to be, it depends on what your contract says. Okay. It depends on what your contract says. That is going to be what really prevents you from being in the gray area. It's going to keep you from stepping into that puddle of trouble. So, if your profession, whether you're a planner, designer, stationery designer, whatever the case is, whatever it is that you're doing that requires substantial effort up front, we're going to address how we get from A to B. So explain to the client, these are the steps I take in the creation of the design and the creation of the theme. Okay, these are the efforts that I go through, which is substantial. Okay, so you're educating the client that it's not just, oh, let me pick this Star Wars template off of the wall that I have, or let me pick this Hobbit's template off the wall, no sweat. No, that's not the case. So laying out what you're doing to get to the end zone, okay? And then what you do is you tell the client, based on those efforts, okay, that any substantial change to that design theme is going to incur extra charges. Okay, so let's put the extra charges to the side for a second. In reality, what we need to do then at that point is understand what substantial theme is. And in your contract, sometimes it's beneficial to put examples. So at that point, you could say, substantial changes might include going from rustic barn to Jetsons wedding. It might include going from Star Trek to Hobbit. By way of example, you don't have to get super specific, but a provision in your contract that's going to make sense to the client about what substantial means, okay? So that you're all on that same sheet of music, you're all firing your phasers at the same setting, you're all using the same type of lightsabers. I'm really driving this analogy into the ground. Okay, so you're all on the same sheet of music, fine. Setting that out in the contract to the best that you can, okay? So efforts, what it means to make a substantial change. And now let's talk about, okay, well, Rob, that's fine. They are making a substantial change. What am I allowed to do in terms of money? So in my experience, what I've seen is that designers, coordinators, whatever the case is, it's kind of two schools of thought. Number one is you can just say it's an X amount, like a flat fee, okay, per revision, all right? That's possibly if the revisions that you're making based on what your industry are easier, okay? But maybe not. I mean, I'm just letting you know. So you have a flat fee basis, okay? So revision is $1,000, okay? Or you can do revisions are by the hour, okay, $1,000 an hour, whatever the case is, or a hybrid of those things. That is typically what I see. That's not the only thing that you can do, but that's typically what I see. So laying out the consequences of substantial change in the contract in terms of how much money it's going to cost the client, super duper important. So that way you're not just arbitrarily pulling numbers out of your tauntaun, okay? So that's kind of in a nutshell what we're looking at. So bottom line is, yes, you can charge for revisions, but you're going to get in trouble unless you've handled defining what efforts you're making, letting the client know what a substantial change is that would require a revision, okay? And then letting the client know how much each revision is going to be. And you can do that in different ways, whether it's hourly, flat fee, combination, whatever it is. I hope you found this video helpful. I'm really trying to stay on top of what you guys want to know about, what you guys want to learn about. And again, a lot of this now is coming from our Clubhouse chats every Thursday, 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Eastern time, at Wedding Lawyer. If you have any suggestions for content, if there's something that you want me to talk about, please let me know in the comment section below. If you are listening to this on a podcast app, please know that I'm on YouTube as well. If you want to see my lovely face and my new background that I have, because we have recently moved and now I've kind of finally have a final setup behind me. Anyway, if you're into that kind of thing. And new episodes, I always say episodes, not an episode. We're rebranding. It's a video. New videos are out every Monday, Wedding Industry Law on YouTube. And with that, folks, we'll see you next time.